Hey, welcome back to the Cybersecurity Whisperer, your go-to source for the latest in cyber threats, trends, and tech. I'm your host, Elliott Franklin, and today we have a packed episode covering a new phishing kit that defeats two-factor authentication, the cognitive impact of AI, Australia's latest cybersecurity guidance, and Apple's urgent iPhone security fix. So let's kick it off with a major phishing threat. This is a new phishing kit named Astaroth. It's surfaced on cybercrime forums, and it's more dangerous than traditional phishing methods. See, it uses an evilgenic-style reverse proxy to act as a middleman between you and legitimate services like Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, and 365. And so it intercepts usernames, passwords, and session cookies in real time, completely bypassing two-factor authentication. Attackers don't even need your one-time password or authentication app code. They can hijack your session instantly and take full control of your account. And the sad thing is, this kit is being sold for $2,000 with 6 months of updates, making it a growing threat for businesses and individuals alike. So what can you do? Well, security experts that real-time threat detection is really, across your web, email, and mobile is what you should have in place to block phishing before it even reaches your users. And AI-powered security tools are also critical. So just, bottom line is, two-factor authentication is certainly critical, but it's just not enough anymore. You've got to be cautious of phishing links, double-check your login pages, and use, FIDO or security keys if possible. Next up, let's talk about something that might be affecting all of us, and it's how AI is changing the way we think. A new study from Microsoft and Carnegie Mellon finds that as we rely more on AI, we use less critical thinking. I think a lot of us may be like, well, okay, duh. But researchers call it a cognitive atrophy problem, meaning the less we practice problem solving, the worse we get at it. Workers using AI for routine tasks show less diversity in problem solving, and many people just blindly trust AI-generated content, which reduces independent thinking. So, but there is a plus side. In high-risk jobs like cybersecurity or healthcare, workers are more likely to question AI outputs and stay engaged. So, we've seen this before. People once feared writing, printing, and calculators would weaken our minds. AI is just the latest tool in this evolution. So don't rely on AI blindly. Use it as a tool to assist, not replace your decision making. And if you're in a field where AI-generated mistakes could be costly, of course, always double check its output. Now on to Australia. They've just released a major update to their cybersecurity framework, stating that it's virtually impossible to prevent cyber attacks, which is true, and with existing strategies. And instead, they're focusing on zero trust and secure by design principles. But what does that really mean? They're calling it their foundations for modern defensible architecture, and it guides organizations to build networks that are resilient to these attacks. It complements their Essential 8 maturity model, which promotes best practices like patching software, enabling MFA, restricting admin privileges, and frequent backups. Their goal, which is quite ambitious, is to make Australia the world's most cyber secure nation by 2030. So, if your business hasn't already, look at these zero trust approaches. And again, this assumes no user or device can be trusted by default, even if it's a company issued device. Here's something that we may have touched on before. I want to bring it back up. Apple, they just released iOS 18.3.1. to patch a serious security flaw that's already being actively exploited in the wild. And the bug allows attackers to bypass USB restricted mode, meaning they could extract data from locked iPhones if they bought a forensics tool like Cellebrite or Graykey. And so, really, you've got to probably be a high-profile individual, activist, government official to be a likely target. But still, you need to update. Do it now. If you're in cybersecurity or IT at a company, make sure your company devices are updated immediately. This flaw was already being used, again, in extremely sophisticated attacks. Here's a weird one. A true crime YouTube channel with millions of views was recently exposed for creating entirely fake murder cases using AI-generated stories and images. And so there was a viral video that claimed a husband's secret affair ended in a murder in Littleton, Colorado, but no such crime ever happened. The entire 26-minute documentary was AI-generated, and the channel had over 150 fake crime stories before it was finally taken down. So again, why does this matter to you and me? Well, AI is making fake news harder to detect, and deep crime these deepfake crime stories, that's just the beginning. So expect more AI-generated misinformation in politics and business and security, and always verify your sources, especially when something sounds, of course, too shocking to be true. Finally, a quick one for my fellow cybersecurity leaders. Stop trying to be the lawyer. Security and legal teams must work together, but trying to handle it yourself without legal input can and has backfired. Legal teams that aren't just a rubber stamp. I mean, they help navigate compliance risks, data breach responses, and privacy laws. And so cross-training between security and legal teams is really key. Think about like running tabletop exercises together. But the best advice is to know enough law to spot a risk, but don't pretend to be a lawyer. Work closely with your legal and compliance teams before a crisis happens. Well, that's it for today's episode. Here's your takeaways for the week. Watch out for phishing because, again, multi-factor, two-factor isn't enough anymore. Use AI wisely and don't just let it replace your critical thinking. Be good problem solvers. Consider zero trust for your business. I mean, it is the future of cybersecurity and it has been for a while. Update your Apple devices ASAP. And CISOs, remember, partner with legal. Don't try to do their job. Thanks for listening. If you found this helpful, subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your team. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week on Cybersecurity Whisperer.